So picture this: two people, both facing, honestly, the exact same stressful year in their early 20s. One of them learns, slowly and, imperfectly, to sit with discomfort, to problem solve, to reach out to other people for help. The other, well, reaches for a drink, every single time, because it works, immediately and reliably. New research published this year suggests that these two people may actually be walking toward two very different brains, decades before either of them even notices anything has changed. The study comes from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, published in the journal Alcohol, Clinical and Experimental Research. It's important to be precise right from the outset. This research was conducted in mice, not humans directly, which means the findings should be understood as a strong biological model, not as direct proof of identical effects in every person. With that clarification in place, what the researchers found is, honestly, genuinely striking. The team exposed young mice to a combination of chronic stress and alcohol during their early adulthood, kind of mirroring the pattern of a person who learns, early on, to reach for a drink specifically to cope with pressure, rather than just, drinking socially. Years later, in the mouse equivalent of middle age, the researchers examined a small but crucial brain region called the locus coeruleus, which is an area deep in the brainstem responsible for regulating the body's response to stress and supporting adaptive, flexible decision-making. What they found was lasting damage, specifically in animals exposed to both alcohol and stress together, not in those exposed to either factor alone. This is a critical detail. It wasn't the alcohol by itself, and it wasn't the stress by itself. It was the combination, alcohol used repeatedly as the tool to manage stress, that appeared to alter this circuitry in ways that persisted long after the exposure had ended, well into the animal's later life stage. The damaged brains showed reduced flexibility in adapting to new challenges, alongside signs associated with the kind of cognitive decline seen in early dementia. A separate but related study from the same research area added another unsettling piece. Young animals that were repeatedly exposed to alcohol or stress became measurably less cautious when evaluating risky situations later on. They were, more willing to engage in risky behavior, and those changes actually persisted well beyond the original exposure period. Taken together, these findings suggest something that goes against a common comforting assumption, that once someone stops drinking, the brain simply returns to its original baseline, given enough time and willpower. But, this research proposes something more complicated. The pattern of using alcohol specifically to manage stress, especially when it begins early in life, may leave a biological signature in the brain's stress regulation system itself. That can make a person more vulnerable to relapse under future pressure, not because of weak willpower, but because of an altered underlying circuit. None of this suggests that stress itself, or alcohol itself, is destiny. Instead, it suggests something more precise and honestly, in some ways more hopeful. Understanding exactly which circuit is affected opens the door to future treatments that go beyond simply telling someone to stop drinking, toward actually repairing or supporting the specific system that struggles afterward. Subscribe if research like this helps you understand your own coping patterns better. Have you ever noticed yourself reaching for the same coping habit under stress, even when you knew it wasn't the healthiest one? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here.